Joined by Dr. Pablo, who gave a keynote address during the conference. Welcome, Dr. Pablo.
Thank you very much. I'm pleased to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you here. Would you like to share about, first of all, yourself, your career, and what led you into work related to xenophobia?
Okay, good.
Migration?
Well, I'm from Argentina. I've been working, I'm a lawyer. I studied at law school at University of Buenos Aires, but then I did a master's degree in Spain on international migration and a PhD on human rights. I've been working on migrants' rights, migration policies, and many other related topics for the last 25, 26 years in different capacities, as a professor, as a researcher, but also working at human rights organization as a human rights lawyer, then as a consultant of United Nations agencies, like UNICEF, so working with migrant children, or International Labour Office, working with migrant workers, and so on. Also, I had a 4 years mandate, 2014 to 2017 and 2022 to 2025. As in one of the independent experts of the United Nations Committee for the Protection of the Rights of Migrant Workers and their Families. So, yeah, that's what I've been doing. I mean, trying to contribute a little bit to the protection of the rights of migrants or those people that need to flee their country. And I did it in different capacities. And most of my work have been in Latin America or in the Americas, but also in Europe, in West Africa, and in other regions of the world.
You gave a keynote address during the conference that the listeners may not have had an opportunity to listen to. I'll ask you to just give us maybe the highlights of that keynote address.
Yeah, pretty much it was, with the idea of sharing some of the findings in a way of the work that I've been doing, and in particular, a recent achievement that was done by the Committee on Rights of Migrant Workers, along with the United Nations Committee for the Elimination of Racial Discrimination. These two, they are called treaty bodies because they have the mandate to monitor the implementation of human rights treaties that each state ratify. So one of the mandate we have is to develop technical guidelines that are directed to states in order to facilitate that they then, in their actual policies, measures, procedure, decisions by different authorities, are in line with the human rights obligations that the state assume when they ratify a convention. So what we did last year was adopting guidelines that states like South Africa or any other country should implement in order to eradicate one of the increasingly most serious challenges that we are facing globally, which is xenophobia. And xenophobia in a broader sense, no? I mean, not only this kind of classic manifestation of hate against people that are foreigners or perceived as foreigners or outsider of a community, but also xenophobia in the sense of those kind of proposals by law in another kind of tools of unequal treatment. No, those members, the migrants are members of our communities, of the communities that they live in, where they work, where they have their family, and so on. But nevertheless, narratives increasingly are representing migrants as outsiders and are trying to add to that narrative or representation of migrants a sort of undeservingness in terms of all the equality in terms of human rights protection that has been built for the last 70, 80 years is at stake in a way, because of this narrative that are trying to represent migrants as those people that shouldn't be or shouldn't deserve the same protection as other human beings that are part of the same community. So because of this context, these two committees, this of the UN, we work together. We develop these guidelines, and with the idea, with the goal that then states, different authorities take these guidelines and mainstream those guidelines to actual policies and decisions, no? Which at the end of the day should imply equal treatment, no? And, eradicating discrimination, eradicating practices that, for instance, restrict migrant children to access to school, or migrants in general access in an equal basis to health services, or access to justice, or protection at work. I mean, all the human rights that we have as individuals. So, in a way, at the keynote, my idea was, I mean, in conversation with Jean-Pierre Misago, and also with Lauren Landau, um, trying to share the work that I have been doing. I mean, not just me, with my colleagues at the UN committee, no, as part of the contribution that thing that could help to find the proper tools and lens, and in order to address the challenges that we are facing. I mean, which is pretty serious, pretty scary, worrying. No, I mean, we see this in different countries in each region of the world. No, through, I mean, political speeches and or social media. No, this process of dehumanization of migrants. No, so yeah, so that was the idea of the keynote. Just make this contribution, and maybe also having the opportunity for disseminating these new tools that hopefully different stakeholders, no, academics, but also policymakers in South Africa could uh, incorporate to their work, and maybe could help for some kind of policy change. No.
Yeah. Um, you're a law professor, right?
Mm-hmm.
You teach law and you're a human rights lawyer
Uh-huh.
by training. The conference brought together, people from different fields. We had some people
Yeah.
talking about um, xenophobia from the perspective of their religious
Uh-huh.
practice, from a historical perspective. Do you have any takeaways from the experience of the conference, participating and engaging with all of the speakers?
Oh yes, I think that this decision of the organizers of the conference of bringing people from different, not only from different countries, from different institutional background, different disciplines, uh, different approaches to xenophobia was very clever and very important decision. No, because at the end of the day, when we talk about human rights, no, and social inclusion, addressing social conflicts. Uh, there is no a single lens or approach that is like the magic solution. No, there are complex realities, complex issues that multidimensional. So if we don't incorporate all these dimensions, all the disciplines and backgrounds for each of the participants, in this case of the conference, it's very unlikely that we manage to understand the complexity of the problem, and then, more importantly, to identify the solutions. So I think that was a great decision, no? That this interdisciplinary approach, and I really value that, because otherwise, when we talk about when we talk between like just lawyers, for instance, we will have an idea of how to approach a reality or an issue, but it will be a very limited analysis, and then the proposal or the solution will be limited as well. So when we have the possibility, like in this case, to talk with people from different backgrounds, institutional backgrounds, and also disciplines, I think that I mean, we are in much better position to understand it, what we are talking about, and then to think all together in a collective way, how to address or how to cope with the challenges that we are facing.
Okay. Um, apart from the guidelines that you mentioned earlier, are there any other recommendations you have to people who are interested in research related to xenophobia and migration, or people who are working in that space? Any
Yeah.
lessons that you'd want people to take away?
Well, something that I shared at the keynote discussion is that we tend and in a way is a consequence of what we are discussing, no, this narrative that are shaping migration with a very narrow lens, no, and usually they are lenses that are more related to the interests of some political actors rather than to uh, another way of or with an actual interest of understanding this multidimensional phenomena as migration. So what I think is that sometimes because of that we end up talking about migration in a very like isolated way, no, it's like in silos, no, okay, this is a silo of migration, and that lead us sometimes even without intention to discuss uh, without taking into account that migration is a cross-cutting issue, no, it's a multidimensional issue, so it should lead us to talk about many common aspects of a community, you know, like culture, health, family, children, the our concerns at in the neighborhood. No, I mean the classic concerns that any individual of a community has. But because of this narrow narrative of migration, we then end up discussing like outside in a parallel place to what to the place where we talk about the community in general. So I think that for researchers, for any practitioner that is interested in working on this field, I think that it's very important to understand this multidimensionality, you know, and in order to try to avoid that problem or that how can I say that challenges that we end up facing because of this narrow approach that put us in this very uh, like exceptional place where we discuss about migration when we should be discussing about yeah, like for instance children. Okay, children. Okay, which is the reality of children in South Africa or in Zambia or in other African countries? Well, okay, we have children with different languages, with different ethnic origin, with children that were born here in this country that came from other countries, boys, girls, different diversity in terms of ethnicity. I don't know, whatever. I mean, in any other identity factor. So migration is just one more. But again, the discussion will still be about children, not about migration. So I think that no, something that I try to encourage is like let's have like the lens open, no, as broad as possible, no, because otherwise we will make the same mistake that in many cases politicians do. No, that they put us discussing migration with only one lens. Okay, migrants as a security issue, as a threat, and no, how to deal with this invasion of people coming to our country, instead of talking about no, I mean that children, families coming. Why? Because our labor sector, our labor market is built on the contribution of migrants, no, at the mining sector, at the domestic worker, at the trade sector, or so many other sectors of our economy, for many other reasons. So, yeah, what I would suggest is that I mean, trying to be as open as possible to talk interdisciplinarily with different professionals because we may have an idea on this, but then our colleagues may have another idea because they see it with another lens and they can complement each other. So that's super important when our work is in fields like this, in the sense that we want to. It's not like we want to change the world, but we want
We
the
we
world,
want to change the world.
but we want. I mean, we want to contribute to social issues, not to contribute to the better living conditions of our community. So, in that sense, working in partnership with different disciplines and plans and so on, I think it's unavoidable and it's very very important.
um, Speaking about the need to have an interdisciplinary approach to addressing and eradicating xenophobia, you said what we don't want to change the world, but we want to change the world. My next question is it possible? Do you see us coming to a place as a race, like the human race, where we have completely eradicated xenophobia? We accept everyone for who they are,
um,
and yeah.
I must believe that it's possible.
Mhm.
um, what least, I mean, for two reasons. First one is because if I don't believe that, my work would and our work wouldn't make any sense. No, and believing that that might be a possibility is what moves you to work, to do your best, no, to move forward. No, I think that something is a sort of not something that is a fuel. No, it's that keep us moving. No, and trying our best to do that. And secondly, because no, we work on the field that we choose to work, even though that I mean many people face different challenges in a way as our world is so unfair. Many people live in a very vulnerable circumstances. We have the opportunity to contribute to change that reality, and so we we are obliged to be optimistic. I mean, we can't give up because, for instance, those people that are forced to flee their country in a very vulnerable condition, they are brave enough to fight against all the challenges that they face. No tragedies, violence, discrimination, human rights abuses, and they still fighting for get reading from that reality and to improving the living conditions to protect their children and so on. If they do that, I mean, how can we not do that? No, I mean, so we need that optimism in order to address the, I mean, to do what we do. Um, it's complex, it is, especially in these times. But I think that, I mean, there are so many things that we can do. I mean, step by step, in some cases. Of course, there will be contexts where maybe we think that we can do like barely few things. In some other contexts, we can do more. Maybe things change next 2 years, 5 years, and no, and then we have more opportunities. And we are talking about structural problems, structural issues. So we need to seed as much as possible in order to no I mean to collect the harvest in the future, no, because if we don't begin with that, like for instance working with children and working at the school level, at the community level, it's very unlikely that in 10 years or in 20 years we manage to change something, no. um, so yeah, I mean, yeah, I have to believe that we can do that. I mean, maybe we'll not eradicate xenophobia, but what we may achieve is that every manifestation of xenophobia in the future is rejected immediately by the vast majority of the community, and that will be, I think, I would say,
An acceptable end.
yes, because I mean now what's going on is exactly the opposite, no? How xenophobia is rapidly and easily accepted and spread in the community and every level in our society, no? So when maybe we end up in 10, 20, 30 years exactly in the opposite, you know, when the deception is those who are still trying to spread hate, division, inequality, and so on. And the vast majority of our community will don't accept that. I say no, that's not good for anybody because this is about us. Talking about migrants is talking about us, our community. So we don't accept that. We have to try.
Thank you, Dr. Pablo. I truly appreciate your positive outlook on it. The topic of xenophobia is a very heavy one. It's a very heavy and a very real one, but the positivity I think keeps us going, and I hope it does motivate our listeners to really think deeply about how we are treating each other and potentially what we can do to not be xenophobic and perhaps even contribute to research related to the same. Thank you so much.
Thank you.